Okay. All right. Looks like we can see me. All good to get started. So I'm super excited for today. I've got a couple of fun little challenges that we're going to do to get moving. And then we'll have our flow after that. Um, all right. So first things first, I want you to find a comfortable seated position here for me. And from that comfortable seated position, you can be cross-legged if that's comfortable for you. You can have those legs out, maybe bent at the knees and feet planted, whatever seated position is comfortable for you today. And then we're going to start with just our breathing as usual. So I want you to take these first couple of moments here, find a couple of nice deep breaths, allowing as you inhale that air to really fill up through the lungs, through the chest, through the belly. And as you exhale, I want you to find that little bit of extra relaxation through the muscles in the face, the jaw, the shoulders, down into the fingertips and toes. And taking this moment as we take these deep breaths to just notice if you've got any tension built up anywhere, and allowing for that to release as you find this next exhale. Yeah, a couple more people pop in, so I just wanted to pop everyone else onto mute. All right, so we're gonna find our spinal twist in a little bit different of a way today. So we're gonna start by moving with our arms, and rather than that hold that we often start with, we're gonna start by just moving side to side with the pace of our breath. What I want you to do with this next inhale is we're gonna trail our arms up the body. They're gonna pause at the shoulders, and then you're gonna extend them all the way up nice and high towards that ceiling. So they're gonna start out in front. As you inhale, we're just trailing them in and up the body, pausing briefly at the shoulders to turn over those arms, extending all the way up towards the ceiling, and then we're gonna spinal twist. As we exhale, we're gonna bring those arms down and around, and we're gonna open those shoulders towards that right wall. We're gonna keep it going here. So with your next inhale, same thing. We're gonna trail it in and up. Pause at the shoulders, making sure we're facing forward, extend all the way up, and then a nice exhale to come down to that other side. So now probably moving a little faster than we were on those first two, kind of just going side to side, bringing those arms in and up nice and tall, and then down and around. And here I want you to flow with the pace of your breath. So with each of your inhales coming through center, trailing those arms in and up, and with that exhale coming down to either side a couple times each way here. So starting by getting those shoulders moving, starting by getting that spine moving, and really connecting our movement to our breathing. Awesome. I want you to give me one more time in each direction from wherever you are. And after that second direction, finding one more big inhale to come back to center, extending those arms up, and then exhale just to circle them right down around at center. All right, so we're gonna start to get the legs stretched out next. So as soon as you found that last exhale, all we're gonna do is take those legs out into a straddle. So I'm just gonna extend them not too wide, maybe just slightly wider than the short edge of your mat. So we're gonna find simultaneously a little bit of a forward fold, a lower body stretch, and a spinal twist. So the first thing that we're gonna do here is inhale to find our long spine. So my hips are kind of tight, so I'm a little bit bent over when I start in this position. We're inhaling into that nice long spine. From here, I want you to turn your body up, and then we're just gonna hinge out at those hips. So this feels a little weird. Motion is a little bit shortened here, but then we're just gonna walk those hands over to center. We're gonna walk them over that first foot through center, taking a little pause at center and over in that opposite direction. So we're finding our spinal twist over here. And then we're just gonna move side to side here. So at a pace that feels good to you. Maybe you spend an extra moment here. Maybe you walk it down and you find an extra moment down in center. This forward fold feels good. Maybe you still have a slight bend in those knees. Anything here is okay. This time is kind of for you to start to get those legs warmed up. And as we do this, I want you to just kind of focus in on your breathing a little bit. So it doesn't necessarily have to line up with your movement here, just because we're taking a little bit longer to go side to side. But don't let that breath go. Try and continue to take those nice big inhales and exhales. We're going to just find it once more in each direction. So I'm back to that first side that I found. I'm just going to go all the way over that second side and all the way back. So go ahead, find that one more time. Maybe spend an extra second down in that forward fold down the center. And then all the way back through center to meet back on that first side once again. When you hit that first side with that next inhale, just go ahead and bring it on back to center. We're going to find our butterfly next. So when you get there, take your time. We're just going to fold those feet in. We're going to bring the soles of those feet together right in front of us. Now there's a couple of ways to make this more intense. I'm going to kind of build up as we go. But for right now, the closer you pull those feet, the more intense this will be. The further out they are, the easier this will be on the hips. You can grab at those ankles. And then what I want you to do is find a long spine here and then just hinge slightly forward. Find that nice opening through those hips, but try and keep that long spine. So if you round into this, it might feel good on the back, but if you find that long spine, you're going to take that extra second and find that nice stretch through those hip flexors as we fold forward at those hips. All right, so we're going to build this up in intensity just a little bit up next. So what I want you to do is just kind of bring it back to that center, that long spine up here, and then we're just going to alternate lengthening those legs. So this one will kind of depend on how your flexibility is today. If you've done any moving today, maybe those hips are a little bit tight. I'm going to grab both of my ankles here, and then I'm just going to alternate lengthening one leg, shifting my weight back through center and lengthening the other. So I'm grabbing this one. Maybe this is what I get for that first one. My knee is still nice and bent. I'm finding that little bit of a stretch. Maybe you've got that nice long leg. You're a little bit more flexible today. And then just shifting your weight through center, trying to keep a hold on that foot and over to that other side. So this will kind of bring us to a balance exercise we're going to do a little bit later. So I just want you to kind of start to get those hamstrings a little bit warmed up. Like I said, if this is all you've got on that flexibility today, totally okay. If this is a little bit intense for you, you can even just kind of stay in that butterfly, find your breath a little bit, maybe find a little bit more of a hinge forward those hips. As you start to warm up those hamstrings as you move side to side, maybe taking a second to bring it out a little bit wider towards the side. Maybe you hook those two, the pointer and the middle finger on the inside of that big toe and give that a little bit of an extra grip on that foot. We're just going to find another couple of moments here. Give me a couple more nice big stretches with those legs. And go ahead, find it one more time on each leg for me. One more nice big stretch, taking one extra second for each leg here. And then when you're done, just go ahead and bring it back to center. And after you found those last two, once again, if you're still moving there, go ahead and find those last two. We're going to bring it over to hands and knees and get into our cat and cow, get that spine moving again. So whenever you're ready there, just rolling it over those knees, finding our hands and knees position. So when you get there, I want you to make sure that those knees are right under the hips, that the wrists are right under the shoulders, and then we're going to connect our movement to our breath once again. With that inhale, I want you to drop the belly towards the floor and look up towards the ceiling. With that exhale, we're going to round that spine out towards the ceiling and tuck the chin in towards the chest. So once again, just flowing with the pace of your breath here, finding a couple back and forth, getting that spine moving again. We're going to find a couple of mini back bends today, so I just wanted to get this nice warm up with our cat and cow. Keeping those nice deep breaths that we focused in on for that forward fold. Couple more here. Nice. Find two more nice deep breaths. That's twice more in each direction for me. When you finish those last two, we're going to come back to a neutral spine. And then we're going to go back to our spinal twists, kind of like we started with. We're going to do single arm if you need to take the knees a little bit wider for a little more stability. We're going to flow a few times with our breath. Once again, I'm going to start with my left arm so that you can see me here. With my inhale, I'm going to lift up nice and tall towards that ceiling, opening up through the chest. With my exhale, we're going to come into a little spinal twist. So I'm going to loop it under, in between my right arm and right knee, placing my shoulder just briefly down on the ground. So still a lot of pressure through my right hand. And then with that next inhale, I'm going to flow back up. So we're going to keep this spinal twist kind of mobile here, keeping it going, inhaling to come up, exhaling to come down. We're finding both of those directions. I'm going to do one side. I'll let you know when we're at about halfway. We'll switch it up. Nice. Find two more on this arm for me. So two more nice deep inhales and exhales. When you finish those last two, we're just going to switch sides. So whenever you're ready, take your time finishing out with that last one, bring it back to center, and then just trade arms, same thing on that other side. Big inhale to lift up, big exhale to thread it down and through. Now, if you weren't here for those first couple moments, I'm going to take this time to just re-request. I have two requests of you guys today at some point during class. If you need a break, maybe that would be a good time to do it, or maybe for our last 2 or 3 minutes. I've been thinking a lot about gratitude today and this weekend. So one thing that you're grateful for, and I said before, it can be as simple as maybe the glass of wine that you're looking forward to with dinner tonight, or something a little bit deeper, a little bit more philosophical. Let's find 3 more spinal twists on this side. And then that second request is just whichever site you're from, whatever site you're a member of today, wherever you got this link from. If you could just throw that into that message in the chat as well, that would be awesome. Nice. When you finish those last 3, we're just going to come back to our center, hands and knees. All right. Nice. And then we're going to start to activate the muscles in the back and the glutes and the hamstrings to get us ready. We're going to do camel today, or some modification thereof. But first, we're going to flip it over and find some glute bridges. So I'm just going to bring it over onto my back. I'm going to bend at those knees and plant the feet. So however is best for you to meet me there is great. We're going to start off with just a range of motion, and I'm going to build up from there. You're welcome to stay at any point as I build in intensity. If you need to step it back, we've got all these options down here for you as well. We're starting with just a glute bridge here. So just starting with a couple of nice bridges, lifting those hips up, squeezing through the hips and the glutes, and then lowering back down just to start to get those muscles moving here. And then I'll take it up a notch in just a second. So find just a few of these. Squeezing through those glutes and those hamstrings, really activating there. And for these, you shouldn't necessarily be pressing up onto those toes, but the toes also shouldn't be lifting off of the floor. So you've got a nice flat foot. Next option, if you're ready to take it up a notch, we're going to march those feet in. So we're going to find a glute bridge hold. I'm going to take my hips up nice and high. You can use those hands as support to make this a little bit easier, or not, to make it a little tougher. I'm just going to nice and slow shift my weight from foot to foot. I'm going to keep my knee bent and march my knee in towards the face. So those hips stay up high. I'm just alternating that side, those muscles that are activating. If you need a break at any point during this, you can always set those hips down for a moment. And as we do this, and as you either are in that glute bridge or in this march, I want you to just kind of notice the muscles that activate. Notice as your core activates to kind of recenter those hips. Notice as the hamstrings and the glutes and the calves activate in that standing leg. All right, one more notch for us here. We've got a reverse next. If you're ready to take it up, I'm going to take those arms up overhead. So I'm releasing all of that support that I had from those hands possibly being down by. Taking those arms up overhead. What we're going to do is that opposite hand is going to meet that opposite knee. I'm going to press them towards each other while my hips are still up for a 2 and 1, and then take it back down and switch. So we're really activating through the core here. The hand meets the knee. They press as hard as they can towards each other for just 2 seconds there, and then switching sides. So this is going to be our hardest option here. If you, once again, need to take those hips down and give it a break, you can always take them down and keep this range of motion, or you can take them down and just take a break and just bring it back to that glute bridge when you're ready. We've got about another 10 or 15 seconds here, so just keeping it moving, keeping it breathing. Thinking about activating through the core as much as you can as they press towards each other. Keeping going for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release those hips down. If you joined me, maybe you can feel those muscles in the back and the glutes relax a little bit. And then just go ahead and pull those knees in towards the chest for a second. Give them a little rest before we get into something a little bit different here. Whew. All right, so now that we've kind of activated, we've gotten that kind of half back bend, we're finding that range of motion. We're gonna, once again, flip it over, so we're gonna bring it up to those knees. So taking your time, you can roll to one side and press it up. You can just kind of roll it up and over. Now, if you're on a hard floor underneath your mat like I am and you need a little bit more padding for those knees, you can always roll that mat up a couple of times, give yourself a couple extra layers. The tops of those feet are gonna meet the mat here. So we're going to be nice and stable. And then we're just going to find that same kind of range of motion that we found for those glute bridges, where the shoulders are actually going to come back and be just even with those heels. So this is a really great core and quad exercise. We're going to activate through the core. We're going to do just 5 of these. You're going to drift back, keeping that body nice and long, and then bring it back up nice and tall here. So just a couple. Drifting back, keeping that body nice and long, and then back up nice and tall. All right. I like this one because it's a really great way to actually target those quads. When you finish those 5, just taking a moment, taking a breath. I've got one more here. Maybe if those knees need a little break, you can bring those hands down and give the knees a second. All right, we're going to take this up a notch towards our camel next. So if you're still going with those 5, finish them out. We're going to find our spinal twist here in the direction upwards towards our camel. If this is a little bit intense for you, you're welcome to find those drifts. You're welcome to also always find a child's pose. So from this position, all we're going to do is I'm going to take one hand, and it's going to come down and meet my heel. So I'm not coming all the way back into my camel yet. I've just got one hand down. It's using the floor for support. This other arm, we're going to come up for our spinal twist. It's going to come up over top. I'm looking down at that foot, and then using all those core muscles I just activated, big exhale, we're going to come back up to center, right to there. So once again, if that's a little intense, feel free to stick right where you were. And then we're just going to alternate sides. So coming down to that other side, finding that heel, finding that spinal twist, and then a big exhale to come up through center, activating that core to come back up. So if you've got any kind of low back contraindications that makes this a little tough, like I said, you can find a child's pose. You can find those drifts as a great way to kind of work on that lower back strength and that quad strength. Let me find 2 more on each side here for me, guys. 2 more on each side, 4 more. Keeping it going. I've got 1 more each direction. And then I'm gonna bring it back up to center. Now, if that back needs a little break, you're again welcome to bring those hips down, give it a second. Our last thing that we've got here from those knees is just gonna be our full camel. So if this last exercise is a little intense, I invite you to modify it down to either of those other options, or as always, bring it to a child's pose. Our full camel, all we're gonna do is kind of combine those two sides of our spinal twist. So we're gonna swim that arm up over top and it's gonna find that heel. And then that second one is gonna come up over and find that heel as well. So this is a pretty intense back bend here. Once again, if this is too much, just stick with that drift, come back to center, maybe drop those hands. If you're ready for your camel today, you can bring that one down and then other down, but I invite you to make sure that that neck stays long, so not letting the head fall between the shoulder blades, nice long neck, really finding that back bend. We're gonna stay wherever you are for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice big exhale. If you're in that camel, maybe cartwheeling those hands back up. And then we're just going to take a second in our child's pose, pressing those hips back towards the heels, giving that lower back a nice little break here. Maybe you walk those hands side to side to find that little lateral stretch. Maybe you just kind of leave it down in that child's pose for a second, give that low back a nice little break. We're going to finish out. We've got a little bit of time left still, don't worry, but we've got a nice flow to finish us out, so getting it moving a little bit, getting us going. All right, so from this child's pose, we're going to find our first down dog of the day. So planting those hands, finding all 10 fingers, a little pressure through the palms, making sure that there's pressure through all 10, curl those toes under, press those hips up and back. Since this is our first of the day and we've already given those legs some good work, we're going to take a moment here. So I want you to just think about maybe lengthening those heels towards the ground, walking the dog out. Maybe you come alternate up, bringing it up on the toes and then pressing both heels down. Maybe it feels good to just take a second, nice and centered in your down dog. Maybe you still got a bend in those knees, totally okay. Taking that time to really find that good stretch there. All right, before we get going with our flow, I've got one more challenge for you guys. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna find a little bit of a balance and core challenge here. So the wider you take those feet onto the mat and the wider you take those hands, this will be a little bit easier. So the narrower you bring them, the tougher this will be, the closer towards center. We're gonna find an opposite hand and opposite foot lift. So I'm gonna start with my left hand and my right foot. I'm gonna put a little extra pressure into my right fingertips and my left toes. I'm gonna start by just lifting my right toes up off the ground and pointing them towards the back corner of my mat. From there, when I feel centered, I'm gonna lift those left fingertips just slightly up off my mat and point them towards the front corner. So now I'm a little bit teetering side to side, but that's okay. We're finding that core strength and finding that balance. If you haven't joined me here, I invite you to now try and think about lifting both off, but if you have to, I've been tapping my back toe down. We're gonna stay on this side for another 4, 3, 2, and 1. I invite you to drop that hand, bring those knees down for a second. Give that standing hand just a roll of that wrist if it needs it. Taking a second to give it a little love. And then we're just gonna trade sides up next. So same thing, the wider you take those hands and feet, the easier this will be. Not saying it's easy, just a little easier. And then we're just gonna trade sides. So I'm gonna now leave my left hand and my right foot down. I'm gonna lift those left toes off and just point them slightly towards that back corner. And then when I'm feeling stable, maybe lifting those right fingertips off. And maybe this side feels a little better or worse than the other. That's okay. All got those little imbalances. If you join me here with both off, we're going to try and stay up for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. One more time. Go ahead, bring those knees down. Give that opposite wrist a little roll. Give it a little break. Maybe you press it back to child's pose. Maybe you give those shoulders a couple rolls. That was a tough one. I like that. It's a little bit of a hold challenge, but gets that core and those shoulders really working. All right. So we are, I promise, going to find our flow next. So we're going to get moving a little bit. I'm excited for this one today. So first things first, let's meet back in our down dog. Go ahead and plant those hands, a little pressure through all 10 fingers. Curl those toes under, press those hips up and back. Now we're gonna start off with our three-legged dog. I'm gonna start with my left foot. It's gonna come up and back. We've got one pulse forward. I'm gonna bring my opposite knee toward, or that high knee towards my opposite elbow. So as I shift my shoulders out over my wrists, that knee comes towards the elbow, and then I'm gonna extend it back up one more time into my three-legged dog. Up next, big exhale. We're gonna step that foot forward into our lunge. So bring it right between those hands. Go ahead and find that lunge. If you need to adjust that foot forward, making sure that the ankle is right under the knee. We've got our crescent lunge next. So with your next inhale, find that stability. Bring those hands up towards that ceiling. Open up through the chest, little bend through that front knee. We're gonna bring it to our warrior two. So all you're gonna do is bring this back heel down, and then we're gonna open our arms and our chest up. So my right leg is back. I'm open away. I've still got a nice bend through my front knee. That's gonna change right here. I'm gonna switch directions so you guys can see me. It's gonna change right here. We're gonna lengthen through that front leg. So front leg is long, back foot still, the side is facing my mat. We've got our triangle. Inhale, nice long spine. Next, we're gonna reach out as far as we can forward, like someone's trying to hand you a $100 bill out there, and then curl those arms down, triangle, opening up through that chest. Both legs are long, nice stretch to that front leg. We're gonna revolve our triangle. Bring that right hand down if you're on that same side as me. Open up that left arm towards that opposite side. Little revolve triangle here. Exhale, bring that hand back down. We're gonna open back up into our triangle. Now all we're gonna do here is reverse what we just did. With your next big exhale, I want you to bring it back up nice and tall. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, bend through that front leg back into our warrior two. We're gonna sweep this back arm forward, and our back heel is gonna come up into our crescent lunge. Oops, so find your balance, take a second. With that next exhale, I want you to fold forward, bring those hands down to the mat. A little pressure through all 10 fingers. We're gonna find our three-legged dog up next. So lifting that front foot, extend that foot up and back towards the ceiling. We're gonna find that single pulse forward once again. So as you shift those shoulders over the wrists, we're bringing the knee towards the elbow. And then an inhale to lengthen that leg back up, three-legged dog. And then set that foot down back into our down dog. Now, if you need a break at any point, you're welcome to drop those knees and give it a second. We're just gonna switch sides and do that same thing again. So we've got our three-legged dog up first. I'm taking my right foot up and back. We're gonna single pulse forward. So bringing that knee towards that opposite elbow, shifting the shoulders out over the wrists, and then an inhale to float it up and back. We're gonna find our low lunge first. So with your next exhale, sweep that foot forward, find that lunge position. If you need to adjust that ankle so that it's under that knee, I invite you to do that. I'm gonna turn around so you can all see me on the front side. Up next, we've got our crescent lunge. Big inhale, sweep it up. We're opening to our warrior two. Turn that back heel down, open those arms nice and wide. Triangle next. Inhale, lengthen that front foot. We're shifting forward, taking that $100 bill out of that person's hand, cartwheel those arms down. Revolving that triangle, that other hand comes down to me, and then opening up opposite side. Exhale to bring it back down to center. Inhale to open up. We've just got that in reverse. With your next exhale, we're bringing it up. Go ahead and bend through that front knee, warrior two. We're gonna sweep that back arm forward, that back heel comes up, crescent lunge. Next exhale, fold forward, hands down to the mat. Up next is our three-legged dog. Little pressure through those toes. This foot comes up and back, nice and tall. We've got our single shift forward, bringing that knee to that opposite elbow. Inhale, shifting it up. Exhale, bring that foot down. All right, we're gonna find each of those one more time. So taking a second if you need it, give those wrists a little break, maybe shifting into your child's pose. Maybe if you're feeling good in your down dog, sticking right there. We're gonna get right back to it. Got a couple minutes left. I'm going to keep moving through this. Here, if you need a break, once again, you're always welcome to drop those knees and give it a second. We're going to get going on that first side a second time. Turn around so I'm opening up in the right direction. I'm going to start with my left leg. Inhale for our three-legged dog, up and back. We've got our single shift forward, bringing that knee towards that opposite elbow. And then that inhale to bring us up and back, three-legged dog once again. Next exhale, sweep that foot forward, bring it down into our low lunge, our runner's lunge. Our next inhale brings us into our crescent lunge, bringing those arms up, finding that balance. Your exhale brings us to warrior two. Turn that heel down, open those hands up, nice bend through that front knee. Next inhale changes that, extending that leg. We've got our triangle, hinge forward with those hips, bringing that arm out as far as you can, then cartwheeling down, opening up through the chest. Revolving it next, bringing that right hand down, opening through that left. Exhale to bring it back down to center. We're reversing it here. So we're bringing it back to our regular triangle. Next exhale, bringing it back up nice and tall. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, bend through that front knee. Warrior two, crescent lunge. Sweep that back hand to meet that front. That back heel comes up, open up through that chest. Next, big exhale, bring those hands down to that mat. A little pressure through all 10 fingers. We've got our three-legged dog, pressing up, foot comes up and back, one time forward, opposite elbow, or opposite knee to opposite elbow, inhale up and back, place that foot down. All right, this is our last time through this. We've got our second side. We're gonna keep it going here. Give me an inhale, three-legged dog, foot comes up and back. Exhale, I want you to shift it forward. We've got our single time, bringing elbow to knee, knee to elbow. Inhale, bring it back, three-legged dog. Crescent lunge up next. Sweep that foot forward, low lunge. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, warrior two. Turn that back heel down, open up through those arms, nice and long through those fingertips, bend through that front knee. We're gonna change that up. Next, inhale, lengthen. We've got our triangle. Hinge forward at those hips. Go out for that $100 bill. Cartwheel it down. We're opening up through the chest. Revolving our triangle next, bringing that top hand down, opening through that bottom hand. Nice, all we've got to do here is reverse this, bringing that down, opening back up into our triangle. Exhale, bring it back up to center. Inhale, long spine. We've got our warrior two next, bend through that front knee. Finding our crescent lunge, next exhale, sweep that back arm forward, that back heel comes up, open up through the chest. Exhale, bring it down. Pressure through all 10 fingers. We've got our three-legged dog. Foot comes up and back. Opposite knee to opposite elbow just once. Inhale, up and back. Last time down dog. All right, guys, we're going to bring it to standing next. So rather than giving those wrists a break down in our child's pose, what I want you to do is walk those feet forward to meet those hands. We've got our forward fold for just a moment here. We're going to find our same breath and our arm pattern that we found while we were seated. So as you inhale up next, I want you to trail those hands up nice and close to the body. When they get to the shoulders, taking that little pause. And then if you need a little exhale there, big inhale, extend up nice and long. Exhale, circle those arms down. All right, here is where our butterfly little stretch is going to come in to finish us out today. We've got couple minutes. Got about 4 minutes left. Okay, perfect. We're going to start. I'm going to take my right leg and I'm going to lift that knee and find a little bit of balance. So if you need that little more stability, keep it nice and low, find something to grab onto. You've got two options here. If you're not feeling super flexible or super balanced, you can just open up that knee right here. If you're feeling good today and you would like to link those first two fingers into that big toe, and lengthen through that leg like we did with our butterfly. If you've got that, once again, maybe you're losing your balance like I am. You got to release it for a second. Maybe you've just got this little bend in the knee. Maybe you have to bend a little bit forward. We're going to hold here wherever you are for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bend at that knee, bring it back to center. If you let that foot fall, I want you to meet me right here. We're going to extend that leg forward and then just sweep it down to meet that other, shake out that standing leg. Nice job. All right, nice. So that was a little tough. If you don't got that flexibility, that's okay. You can always keep that knee bent and just open up. We're gonna trade sides here. Maybe this side's a little bit different for you, totally fine. Opposite side comes up, we've got that bent knee. Once again, if you feel like all you need today is just to open up, you've got that. Last thing we've got today, if you're ready, you can interlace here, or you can grab the inside of that foot. Find that little bit of a stretch, that little bit of a balance. We're gonna find this for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it back to that bent knee in the front. Once again, if you let that leg fall, find this, extend it out, sweep it down, plant that foot. All right, we're gonna take 3 seconds. We're gonna feel super silly and fun. I just want you to shake it out. Just kind of bend through those knees, bend through those arms, find a little bit of something, make those hips feel a little bit good. Take 2 deep breaths while we're doing this. When you finish that second one, go ahead and come back to our center here. We're gonna find one nice deep breath to finish us out here. Big inhale, arms come out and up. Hands meet nice and tall. Exhale, bring them down to heart center. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, you guys. You're awesome. Bowing as we say, namaste. Whew. All right.